So once took over. Because I.
Okay, welcome everybody to West Rock Hills, July 15th Board of Supervisors meeting. Could you all please silence your phones for me? Thank you. Would you all please rise and join me in the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Announcements. First announcement is we are going to have an executive session tonight after tonight's meeting to discuss some legal matters. And I want to reiterate something. We've relaxed the rules regarding allowing people to give their time to someone else to speak. We're going back to what the rules are. Moving forward here, it will be 2.5 minutes per person. There will be no donating your time to another person. Each person can speak their 2.5 minutes, and you can speak 2.5 minutes at the beginning of the meeting here when I get to public comment on agenda items. That being said, is there any public comments on the agenda items that are listed on our agenda tonight? If so, you may step forward here.
Hi, folks. Scott Regal,
Hi, Scott.
Fart Road.
Yep.
I want to start by saying I don't envy your positions. I imagine many years ago, the township supervisor and managers' jobs were a lot less complicated. Today, that's not the case. There's challenges at every turn. To meet one of those challenges, you requested help on May 20th, moving past the formal committee and instead adopted a private citizens advisory group for data centers to help with amendments for submission to the township, of which I'm a member. At that same meeting, the solicitor introduced draft ordinance number 257, comprehensive text amendment, which included feedback regarding amendments to the original data center ordinance. The vote was made for public advertisement. The official public hearing and final consideration vote is scheduled for today. The reason I touch on all this is where we are today, so we can understand the process. The board will vote on our first set of amendments. We have formally submitted a second comprehensive text amendment that should be reviewed tonight. These new amendments are based on the model ordinance from Penn Future and other model ordinances regarding data centers. Despite our efforts, an application for a data center was skillfully submitted this past Friday. However, we will not be deterred. Our expectation is the same. We ask that these new changes be made for public advertisement and scheduled for an official public hearing and vote. Currently, this may not matter due to Municipal Code 508 subsection 4. This protects land developers and guarantees that once a land development plan is formally filed, like this past Friday, it is immune to subsequent ordinance changes, which are coincidentally scheduled for vote today, and with your help, a second set next month. To truly help our cause, we must get PA Senate Bill 1345 passed. If it passes, these amendments will matter, so we will proceed as if it were law. I'm looking forward to continued support from our team members, community members, and the township. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Any other public comment on this matter or any other matter that's on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, Okay, I'll move forward. Next on the agenda is consent agenda. Okay, that is the June 17th meeting minutes, the WIN plan review, escrow, release vouchers, action plans on about to expire, emergency services report, building and zoning permits report, the public works report, conservation committee report. And Mr. Manager, I will ask you to read the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The treasurer's report as of June 30th, 2026, the general fund, $1,118,835.74. Highway aid, $285,222.07. Open space, $1,187,111.55. The park fund, $90,241.50. The equipment fund, $39,034.19. Highway capital, $152.93. Street light fund, $43,477.05. The general fund reserve, $536,570.50. Open space Manderfield, $42,699. Sewage maintenance, $229,004.91. The stormwater fund, $1,600.18, and the escrow funds, $946,793.74.
Any questions from my fellow board members?
No
Concerns?
questions. Nope.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to.
Motion's been made.
I will second.
Second, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is confirmed appointments. There are none on here. Moving forward, committee reports. First on here is the planning commission report. Mr. Durstein, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing okay.
All right. So we met last night. We had three applicants. First one was Nadir Adjouad, who was proposing to construct a 12,000 square foot pre-engineered metal building at the southeast corner of Bethlehem Pike and Forest Road. It's a 4.84 acre tract, and it's in the PC2 zoning district. Use would be for an appliance repair and installation shop, coming in under the G4 contractor service. Have on-lot water and septic. The entrance would be located on Forest Road with a left turn only out of the facility on the Forest, which would take you down to Bethlehem Pike. They are proposing to widen Forest by 4 feet on their side of Forest. Traffic in and out would be mostly box trucks used for pickup and delivery, and they expect 6 to 8 employees. We had discussion about curb and sidewalk, possibly on the other side of Forest, terminating at Bethlehem Pike. I mean, there's nothing else out there now, but looking to the future. It'd be very difficult for them to put it on their side of Forest Road with the culvert there and the topography. So if we're going to make them do it, it would have to be on that side. So we'll see what they come back with on that. They were going to put some conceptual drawings together with it. Buffering and street trees. It's a very wooded lot. They feel they had the existing vegetation might be enough to satisfy, but they agreed to have a site meeting with Steve to determine if it's adequate. We did have comment from the neighboring property owner. She was looking for assurance that the septic areas are at least 50 feet from her well, which they would have to be for the permitting. And she would also like to see an 8-foot fence and possibly a berm to screen her property. So that's something you folks get to deal with. There's a fair amount of engineering issues that need to be addressed. So PC agreed to table discussion until everything is cleaned up. So that's it for that project. Do you have any questions?
No question.
Okay, moving forward to second was the Guns property. Shoecraft and Allentown Roads, they're in the RC zone. They're proposing to subdivide the roughly 60 acres into 2 lots. Lot 1 would be 3.78 acre building lot alongside Shoecraft, which would be developed for a single family dwelling. Lot 2 is proposed to be a 53 acre non-building lot, and apparently that's being considered for conservation. The They're looking for standard, simple waivers out in the country there. Just a few engineering details that need attention. So Planning Commission members voted to recommend conditional preliminary final. So that's that project. Any questions on that?
No questions.
Okay. Third was St. Luke's Grandview. They are proposing to raise the Human Services Building to create a larger parking area. The area of the building is at the southeast corner of the hospital site with access from Lawn Avenue. The building to be removed has parking in the front and rear, with the rear area connecting to the entrance to off-site buildings. They are proposing to eliminate that second entrance back there. They were just in for input. It's a simple sketch, so we took no action on it.
Okay.
They're planning to raise it and turn that whole area into a parking lot. So we'll see what they come back with. We did have one item in old business that member John Swearup brought up. He had prepared a letter, which I believe you guys received today, voicing concerns about forming a citizens group to further research data center regulations, as opposed to a township compiled citizens group that would run under the regulations of township meetings. And he had spelled out a plan to proceed. So we just saw it last night, so we took no action, knowing that you guys are going to get to see it tonight or today. John White commented at the end of the meeting. So that's all I have for the meeting. Any questions?
No questions.
All right.
Thank you, Chris. I'll entertain a motion for approval of Chris's report.
I'll make a motion.
Motion's been made. Second.
Seconded.
All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Moving forward. Park and Rec Committee report. Jody.
Gentlemen,
you?
hi guys, how you doing?
Good.
Hi guys. I'm Jody. I'm gonna go through this probably every month. I took the place of Dave back in January, so I'm still
Does a much
kinda
better
new.
job.
Oh, Dave, you're amazing. Before I go into my notes, I just want to let you know that, as you know, life gets crazy, and everyone has family and kids. If my phone does ring and I do need to leave, my daughter, yes, broke her foot last week by falling off a ladder.
Oh.
So, yes, it's never a dull moment in anyone's house, right? Get an amen on that one. Anyway, so if my phone I'm not trying to be rude, I have to leave. Okay, so we had a meeting 2 weeks ago, and we talked about playground. I know we talked about this last month. We came up with more ideas, talked about more pricing. Want to make sure that the company that we have used in the past, if we had to stay with them by law or whatever. I know that last week, I can't remember my days anymore. I know they put mulch down, so that was also a really cool thing. So we're still in the works of trying to find playground stuff. As you all know, it is super expensive. So we're trying to figure out what to do best in a reasonable price and kind of time. Number 2, Septemberfest is the 27th. We're coming down to the wire. It's pretty cool. We have things regulated. Maggie and myself met on Friday, and we got with Greg's help, we got fire trucks kind of situated. Also, we talked about, I kind of stole this idea from another township. We are going to do a pie eating contest. It will be a sign up. I'll throw out a flyer, especially on Facebook. It's only going to be like a 10-slot spot, and there's 2 different pies. You can pick one, and then whoever eats will come up with a prize. So we're kind of excited about that. We also have a couple other things planned. We're trying to figure out the Girl Scouts. I know they're being more involved, all this other stuff. So we're excited. And same thing, feature film Fire, Finding Dory, October 17th. We made it a little later this year because it ran into my kids' homecoming day. So that's why we had to push it back this year. What was the other thing? Oh, we had a discussion about trees and some of the trails that we have around here. And we're trying to figure out what is best to clean up. Because as you know, cutting down trees and removing trees are a very expensive project. So Greg and I talked, actually Maggie and Greg talked. Maggie is our vice chair. They talked, and we will finalize plans this coming month. Also, too, another thing that we're still planning for is the other dog park. I'm not sure if you all saw that. It is kind of falling apart. It is old. So we are hopefully after September Fest, we're going to come up and talk to Morrissey and Company again, Morrissey and Son Company, I should say, try to get another quote, maybe do it next year. And I do have another thing, Greg. I don't know if this is in the plan. I was hoping it could be done before fishing derby of next year. I'm not sure of prices. The dredging of the pond. If that can be on the list, we can talk about that later. Just wanted to talk. I didn't know who to talk to, and I forget.
We will talk about it. I have a little experience in that.
Okay.
Because I had, both brothers did it.
Okay.
I'd say 15, 20 years ago.
Okay.
So the last time that I had it pulled, I had Mike Toth in there when they were working on the stones, the aeration stones. He said it wasn't that bad. Now that was about 5 years ago.
Okay.
So maybe we should reach out again and have it pulled. We wouldn't want to spend money if it's not worth doing it.
The reason
When I
why,
say pulled, they check and see how much silt's on the bottom of it.
okay, so maybe dredge is not the good word. I just know at the fishing derby, and I've seen things as I walk around, there's trees like laying in it, and I just want
That's
to
different.
maybe clean it up.
Sure.
I don't know which angle. I am not a water or dredge person. So,
Can we talk about that a little more?
yes, I just didn't know who to talk to. So I just want to put that on.
I will try and make
the
myself
time.
available to your next meeting.
You better.
Yeah.
You better make it.
4th of July was,
No,
hey,
I'm just teasing
we
everyone.
had a
I get
meeting
it.
on the 3rd of July, right?
Second.
Or the 2nd of July.
Second.
Okay. Thank you.
I got to give you a hard time.
You do.
Any questions from y'all?
No questions. Thank
Any
you.
questions from y'all either? Oh, also too, I lied. I got one more thing. So I just posted yesterday, if for September Fest, any vendors that want to sell their craft or their, I don't know, homemade body butters, whatever you all do, there's a sign up, Miss Linda, over there, or you can call the office and they'll help you out. So it's a great time. All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the Park and Rec report.
So made.
Okay, made by Hal, second by
Second.
Dave.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is the commission reports. Penn Ridge Regional Police, Chief Dickinson, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I can't possibly be as exciting as
I said.
I can't talk about body butters and some of the other things she brought up, but hey, that's great. So, anyways, I have the June 2026 activity report for the Penn Ridge Regional Police Department. Police Department responded to 727 calls for service in the month of June. 299 of those calls were in East Rock Hill Township, 399 were in West Rock Hill Township, and 29 calls were assisting our neighboring agencies. The department handled 21 traffic crashes in the month of June. Of those crashes, 6 were reportable, 15 were non-reportable, 6 that were occurring in East Rock Hill, and the remaining 15 were here in West Rock Hill Township. Our crimes for the month of June included 7 crimes against property, 3 crimes against persons, 3 crimes against society, and 15 of your Group B offenses, which are your more minor offenses. Those reported crimes included in East Rock Hill Township, we had 3 weapons offenses, 1 threats report, 1 harassment report, 1 report of public drunkenness, 1 retail theft, 1 report of animal cruelty, 1 report of criminal mischief, a theft, 2 trespassing complaints, and 2 thefts, and 2 additional thefts. West Rock Hill Township, we had a public drunkenness complaint, a fraud, 2 fraud complaints, 5 complaints of trespassing, 1 disorderly conduct, 1 possession of drugs, 1 simple assault, and 2 harassments. The criminal charges that we filed in the month of June included 2 charges of disorderly conduct, 10 charges of trespassing, 1 retail theft, 4 charges of harassment, 1 charge of public drunkenness, 1 simple assault, 1 aggravated assault, 1 possession of drug paraphernalia, 1 citation for violation of the Pennsylvania dog law, and 5 charges of DUI. The other police activities for the month of June included 166 traffic enforcement details. We issued 112 traffic citations, 88 traffic warnings, 8 school checks were conducted, 98 park checks, 53 business checks, and officers attended or participated in 313 hours of training. So far for the year of 2026, the police department has handled 4,455 calls for service. We've investigated and responded to 145 traffic crashes. 240 offenses have been reported to the police department. We have filed a total of 152 criminal charges, and the police department has participated in 2,131 hours of training. And gentlemen, that would be your 2026 activity report for the police department.
Thank you very much, Chief, for keeping us safe and doing your job very well.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Any questions?
No questions, no
Okay.
comments.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the chief's report.
I'll make a motion.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Second, all those signify by saying aye. Aye,
Aye.
ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was hoping you'd throw one comment out there at least, Chief. Oh, I was hoping you'd throw at least one comment out there. Just me and Jay and Hal. You can.
Save them all for one meeting. My meeting just shines next. Start public comment later.
All right, next on the agenda is the Joint Rec Authority report. Angela, how are you?
Good. How are you? How's everyone tonight?
Doing good.
All right. So the pool getting a lot of action over there this year. Let's see. We had some repairs made. We had a few benches. These are very old benches that are there. They're the concrete frame with the wood slat. So we had a couple benches that the wood was bad. That and picnic tables that the board just fixed just recently to them. So they're looking good. Signage. We had placed some new with the slide. There was a sign that came with the slide. We didn't really like all the information that was on there. Kind of didn't fit with what goes on at the pool. So a new sign was placed in conjunction with the other slide, or with, excuse me, with the other sign. Kind of like fits our rules a little bit more. We also placed signs for the cameras because there was always been cameras there. We also placed a camera in the office because we wanted to make sure people were scanning their badges when they walked in. We had some issues with that, it seemed like last year, but that's going well too. So, but we had to put some signs up just to notify patrons that they are on camera when they're there. Day passes. So Dave Woods had purchased day passes for all of West Rock Hill Elementary students. So far seems to be doing pretty well. So the students get a free pass and parents come in have to buy a day pass though. So that seems to be helping. A couple of families actually bought some memberships, which was nice as well. We also did a special on July 3rd. That was a huge success actually for us. Menlo advertised that they were going to be cutting off because it gets so hot. So we took advantage of that and did like a heat wave special, and all kids came in for free as long as they purchased a adult membership. We got 127 walk-in purchases just that day, made over $2,000
That's awesome.
just for the one
Awesome.
day. Yeah, it was
Wonderful.
great. It was a great day. So we're hoping to be able to do that again. Lounge chairs. The board agreed to purchase some more lounge chairs. Several of the patrons were loving the lounge chairs, and we decided last year if it was a good, big success, we would purchase some more, which we did. We purchased another 20. And to be honest with you, what we sold in day passes the one day was enough to cover the lounge chairs. So that worked out well. Just a reminder, we have Sips and Dips coming up August 1st. Anybody that's interested in that, you can purchase tickets now for that. Again, it's August 1st. It's 6 to 9. If you get them now before walking in, it's a little bit cheaper. So if you want to just go to the pool's website, you can purchase them through the rec desk. We're going to hold our annual appreciation picnic, which we'd like everyone to attend, August 12th from 5 to 8. Invites will be going out for them. If they haven't received them already, they should get them shortly. Our grant committee, we have received a $500 grant from Univest, which was to be placed towards sunshades. I did reach out to them and asked if we could purchase another bench because the sunshades were actually $5,000. So we thought if we can use it for another bench, maybe we could do that. We bought benches that we didn't buy them, excuse me. They were sponsor benches that people purchase, and they're recycled material. So they're really nice benches, to be honest with you. Our fundraising committee she's currently working with a local establishment. I don't want to say which it is right now yet because she didn't disclose that, but to see if maybe we could do some different type of fundraising over the winter time because it's an indoor event. So we're hoping maybe that would work out for us where we can kind of wash each other's back there. So, and the membership counts. I have current membership counts as of July 10th. So you should have got them in your packet. I did include them. Current memberships, we have 1,032 members for 2026. I know we had a couple have been purchased since then as well. So that's members, excuse me. Memberships, we have 367. Sellersville Borough accounts for 112 of them, and West Rock Hill accounts for 67, and that has been an increase over the past 3 years, which is good. And that's really all I have for the pool.
Okay,
That's great.
you're doing well.
I like the fresh ideas. No ideas. I like
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
All right,
A lot of work, still a lot of work.
I'll entertain a motion for approval of the Joint Rec Authority.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion's
right.
been made.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All those signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next on the agenda is the tax collector report. Suzanne Clark.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, for the month of July so far, I've only collected 5,000, I do this every time, $5,360.26 in regular annual taxes, and streetlight only $132.37 streetlight tax. Not very exciting for the month of July for county and township. However, school tax bills did go out July the 1st. Everyone should have received it in their mailbox as of today's date. And if you have not received that tax bill from me, please give me a call. I'll be happy to send you a copy of your tax bill. And that's all I have.
Okay, any questions, Suzanne?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion's been made. Second,
Second.
all those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is the engineer's report. Mr. Steve Balla.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So now, my agenda was the Daytona Seal Coat bid results. There was bid opening yesterday. The roads in the program this year was, the base bid was for Old Bethlehem Pike. First alternate was for Catch Basin Road, the area between Ridge Road and Forest. And the second alternate was Forest Road, the entire length. You have a chart with the numbers on there. Asphalt Industries, there were two bidders, Asphalt Industries and Asphalt Maintenance Solutions. Asphalt Industries was low bid on all of the components. And if you were to choose to do all of the work, the total bid was $146,120.
I would
Sound
say,
good?
sounds good to me.
Okay, you make that in a motion?
I'll make it a motion.
Okay, got a motion made.
I will second.
Second, all those signify by saying aye. Aye. Moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will notify the contractors.
Thank you.
Board. That's all I have unless there's other questions.
I don't have any other questions. Okay.
No more questions.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the engineer's report.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion's been made.
I will second.
Second, all those signify by saying aye. Very good. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the solicitor report. Mr. Dave Keatley, how are you?
Good, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir. We have three public hearings on proposed ordinances that are up for potential adoption tonight. They're ordinances 257, 258, and 259, but we'll take them one at a time. The first is going to be a public hearing. At this time, the Board of Supervisors will open a public hearing on proposed ordinance number 257, which would amend the zoning ordinance to amend ordinance 256, which was the original data center zoning ordinance. It was properly advertised in the Intelligencer on July 1st and July 8th. It was sent to the Planning Commission of the Township and the county more than 30 days ago. We had introduced this at our May meeting of the supervisors. I would note that since this is a public hearing, the ordinary public comment limit of 2.5 minutes doesn't quite apply. This is a public hearing. It's more than just public comment. So the ordinary 2.5 minutes doesn't apply. I also would note that we got a revised or a track changes ordinance submitted by our citizens group, not ours, but the private citizens group that was formed with substantial changes. And we can tell that there was significant effort put into that. So I can appreciate that. I think that it's clear that the committee took a really deep dive into the ordinance and proposed A significant number of changes, like things to noise measurements, how noise is measured, new tables for sound limits, sound studies, emergency management, master signage plans, restrictions on diesel and gas generator fumes, types of generators, thermal impact mitigation plans, implementing processes for handling of complaints. To that point, I'll just mention, I think that maybe state law might preempt any kind of modification to enforcement. I think enforcement would have to go to the zoning hearing board, but that's just my preliminary thought on it. The proposed changes by the citizens group also mention remediation, having financial security for 5 years, battery requirements, electronic waste disposal, and decommissioning requirements. That track changes document, we received that last week, and we made that part of the packet for the supervisors tonight, so we've all reviewed it in advance. But at this time, Mr. Chairman, would you like to have board discussion first on the proposed changes, or would you like to have public discussion first?
Public discussion would be fine.
Okay, so even though I just went through those track changes, if there's a spokesperson or representative from the citizens group, feel free to discuss any of those as you like. But at this time, we'll open it up to general public comment. Like I said, it's not necessarily limited to 2.5 minutes, but at this point, first to come up to the podium may provide public comment. And as in the past, we would ask to prioritize the residents of West Rock Hill Township before we get into any comments from anybody who's not a resident. So if there's any public comment at this time, please come forward.
You've been nominated, Scott.
Again, Scott Regal, Board.
Scott.
So a lot of our proposed additional amendments came from Penn Futures Model Ordinance, which is excellent. It certainly looks as if they've put quite a bit of time in there. And again, our focus was on some key, let's just call them gaps in what we started out with ordinance-wise, what we're going to discuss and vote on tonight. And again, touched on some key things like an emergency response plan, noise mitigation. There's a thing called infrasound, and it's below 20 hertz, and it can do all kinds of things, from give you problems with heart. There's studies that actually show that there's different resonance for different parts of your body. There's studies that show that it can actually affect your heart rate. It can affect your stomach. It can make you feel as if you're sick to your stomach. It can make you dizzy.
Is that what the decibel C scale gets at, by the way? dBA and dBc?
I believe so. If you saw when we submitted this, we said we need a sound engineer, because although we followed a lot of the model ordinances, I'm still not an expert with this. But at the end of the day, these are sounds you cannot hear. They travel for miles, and they affect all kinds of things. There's been studies that actually show some of the data centers are affecting livestock. And then, of course, you hear all the other about the decibels. Or just the normal sound. So we were saying, what is the increase off of ambient sound? Because there's a lot of discussion about it should be 60 or 70 or 90 or whatever those levels are, but it should be based off of ambient sound and how much in addition to that. And again, there were some additions regarding fire safety, a thermal or heat island. We got that from the Montgomery County model ordinance. So we did a lot of work trying to lean on other people's process and things that have been published, and then use that in this updated set of amendments.
Scott, when you say the Montgomery County ordinance, was it kind of like a joint effort between the Montgomery Planning Commission, the Chester County Planning Commission that came together and they made a model? Is it that one, perhaps?
I'm not 100% certain. If I had my laptop with me, I could refer to it. I can certainly get back to you on that, because I've downloaded quite a few of the model ordinances.
Excuse me for a minute. I believe that might be the one, because Limerick has, I think, 2 that are
Right, in Chester County, right across the river from.
It was one of the only ones that mentioned a heat island.
Yeah.
Which is another concern, that we have this temperature difference that's always there, and what's it going to do? You know, someone told me today there's an eagle's nest on that property, on that specific property. So yeah, we again leaned on a bunch of existing ordinances and tried to add those in. We certainly don't think we're experts with this, so we would ask that, we have some expertise, again, a sound engineer possibly to look at it and verify that we're on the right track with all those things. We do believe all these things are needed. It's certainly disheartening to understand some of the challenges that we're up against because of the fact that the application's been submitted and there's an exclusion in the municipal planning code. So we have some challenges, but if this bill goes through, all of these things are pertinent. So we would ask that, we follow the same progression that we did with the first set of amendments, and that we advertise it, that we have scheduled review and vote on those as well. If this becomes law, then we could vote on a moratorium and go back and really revisit all of these amendments and make sure they're where they should be. So I don't know if you guys want to add
Thank-
anything.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ashley Adams, also on this commission. To be honest, I was not prepared. No one informed us on the commission that we would be doing a deep dive of these edits tonight. When I sent them to Mr. Lippincott, all I received in return was like, thanks, I'll forward them. So just didn't know.
This is just the opportunity to give you, to
Not a
be able
problem.
to speak if you wish.
Sure. I'm going to echo what Scott said, is that we do want to see this continue on the tracks, even though there is an application. I do want to note that even though we are on this commission to, I don't know, we'll say help with these data center ordinances, we were not informed that an application had been made. That, I guess, happened Friday. I found out about it yesterday. I've been trying since Friday to access the website. I was unable to access the website until today. Today was the first day I was able to get the website to load without an error message,
Okay.
the township website. So I'm not sure if anyone else has said that there were problems with that. So I didn't know until I received a message yesterday that we even have an application. So that makes this even more pressing of an issue. Now, I do want to keep things like the moratorium bill in the conversation, and I want to keep things like curative amendments in the conversation, because what we've proposed, these edits, they are by no means exhaustive. We are still learning things about data centers. Like, the information is shallow, the information pool out there. And when we went through trying to draft these ordinances, there are not many in Pennsylvania that have ordinances yet. Many townships or even counties, there are not many in Bucks County, including Doylestown Borough. There are some that have pulled their curative amendment trigger. There are some that, are working on them. So we did not have much to work with. We used the Penn Future, which is Pennsylvania-based. Their model ordinance, that's where, like Scott said, a decent amount of this came from. We also went to New Hope Solebury, and they did pass one. Their makeup is a little different than ours. So we did a lot of comparing and contrasting of, with the proposed ordinance, I think 257, and what these other ordinances outlined. Some were proposed ordinances in other places. Some are ones that have already been passed. Again, this is by no means exhaustive, but I think something, and Solicitor, I don't believe that you mentioned it, maybe you did, about adverse groundwater impacts. I think that is one of the biggest additions. So what that means is that once this proceeds forward, you may notice that there's no regulation, nothing that mentions pulling out groundwater like we've been talking about the aquifers and about local reservoirs and other bodies of water. It's because this 257 says that it must be a closed loop system and that it's not to be a system that pulls groundwater for any reason, meaning nothing that disturbs our water table. Now, I thought it was appropriate to go a step further and talk about what happens if they do disturb our groundwater and our water table, our aquifer. And that is, I believe, mostly from the model ordinance that speaks to adverse impacts. So part of that would be that they'd have to present a study when they apply, which includes maps of every well in a designated area. It also creates things like presumptions. If your well is within a certain distance over a certain period of time, and these wells begin to have adverse impacts, suddenly your well's not deep enough. Suddenly you've got sediment buildup in your well pump is burning out, things like that, then the data center operator is presumed to be the cause when these things happen if they're in again, a certain geographic region over a certain time. The presumption does not hold up the further you get away. But then it's their job to overcome that presumption. So that way we don't have residents without the deep, deep pockets trying to prove that this data center that went in that we all know is likely contributing to the water issues that are suddenly popping up all around it. That way, we don't have that kind of money to hire engineers, environmentalists, lawyers. We just don't, but they do. And it should be their responsibility to do so, that if they want to prove that it's not their impact. And it is rather lengthy. It also outlines methods for hearings, if they want to proceed to hearing in the event that they believe it's not their presumption and that they don't have to remediate, because there's also a section for remediation. And how, again, we talked about financial security. So it's important that we get money from them up front. That's what I think is one of the biggest things to be stressed, especially there's a decommission section. I believe that's in 257 that we're going to vote on tonight. And I don't recall how much, if at all, I amended that, but I think it's important to note that part of, I think, the financial security that we need to talk about extends to decommissioning. So that way, when they abandon this and it takes millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to get your soil back to its natural state and leach the toxins out of it and have usable water in that area and do something with the building, that we're able to do that.
We would do something like that in like an escrow account.
Yes.
That's what we would do. The township already is thinking on that.
Yes. And I think this outlines some of it, and especially regarding the wells and the adverse well water impacts. And I think it talks about, and again, that was from Penn Future, I believe it was, they basically have to put up X amount of money per well in that area. So that way, if remediation is required and they tell us we're not going to do it, then the township already has some of that money and says, great, we're going to release it to these people who need it while ongoing litigation, whatever it may be, or even if, it goes through the court system and then they were allowed to release the escrow. But that's really what that's about in that adverse groundwater section. Again, like Scott said, we added things like they need to have an emergency management plan, like a full-blown emergency management plan that has to be submitted as part of the application process. So that way it's not something we're scrambling on.
I just want to add something to that, because if you recall, a meeting or two ago, I recommended that they had to purchase whatever emergency management equipment would be needed to take care of a situation if there were a fire or something.
Sure.
Up front, and donate it to the fire departments. Now, how that's in there, and what we can do, I'm not quite sure yet, but it is a big concern of ours, because I will say,
of course,
if anybody watches the news, you saw that warehouse out in California had all those solar panels on the roof. It burned for a week. You couldn't put it out.
8 days.
They dumped
And if you
water
put water on it, it reignites.
And that's another reason why we were trying to put these and make it mandatory that they had to be where there was public water, and not as one of our fire members here admitted, it takes you so much more water to put on a electrical
Sure.
battery, and to run tankers. You're losing the battle before you even start. So we do worry about that. We are concerned about that, and it's one of the things I think that we have in. Dave will verify for me, and if it's not in, we will make sure that it is in to cover our tracks in here.
Sure.
As you know, there are other people that watch these meetings.
I'm aware.
Okay.
Yep.
So we are here to try to stay ahead of the curve. Most people don't know, Dave and I spent a lot of time out of PSAT sitting on discussions and meetings, particularly just about data centers, and spent hours and hours. And I talked to supervisors in Monroe County and other places that went to. Nobody really knows anything about them. And that's why we were trying hard to get ahead of the curve here, so that we had something in place before we could get hit with an application. Unfortunately, Friday happened. And
Yep.
it's a reality. So to echo your
Yes.
concerns greatly, and we are working as a staff and the board as well as trying to get protections in place for the citizens as well as for the township
Sure.
and the environment.
And that's what, there was something in that was for emergency management in 257. Like I said, this is something that goes a step further, that talks about not just how to respond, but talks about, it does include their fire suppression and evaluation of access roads, hydrant locations, things of the like. Ventilation, containment. I think the biggest thing is evacuation. Like you said, that fire burned for a week, and it wasn't just a fire that burns for a week. It's a fire that rips a hole in the ozone, kills all of our breathable air and any livestock that exists in the area. Like, what's their plan? We have farms. I think that we need to talk about things, that's what is in here, includes things like it has to be sufficiently protective of public and livestock health, safety, and welfare. Because you can't tell a farmer, I'm so sorry, you can go, but your livelihood stays and stays to die. So these are things that maybe are unique to West Rock Hill Township that might not be unique to somewhere like New Hope, Solberry. So that would be missing from some of their amendments, but I think should be included in ours, and talks about things like you said, training, et cetera. That was a very large part. Like I said, this is in no way, we are not environmental engineers. We are not professionals. We are just people who happen to live here where a data center wants to go in. And I cannot begin to explain the amount of time and effort that has gone in to making, these edits, which again are by no way exhaustive. And as more information comes out, we're going to need to keep updating and keep at this. I did see that in the resolution, I believe that you passed last in support of the House bill, that you actually requested to extend the moratorium to 3 years. I think that's incredibly appropriate, just because this is such new technology. We don't know. We can't regulate things we don't know. So I just want to be mindful of that, is that we are just three lay people that are comparing and contrasting what other places have done, and all of them are not time tested. Nothing's been tested. Litigation's not been tested in these other areas yet. So we are all trying to be preemptive and proactive. But in that, we have to set up not just how do we get them through with proposals, and having all of these sound studies and environmental studies, whatever it may be, thermal impact studies, but also built in things like as-built studies. I think a couple of the additions that we made for discussion are an as-built sound study. That's in there already. It expands that a little bit, and then we proposed another 6-month as-built sound study. So usually when they start their operations, that's not the peak of what their operations, it's not what it's going to look like a couple months down the road. So reevaluate, has the sound changed? Is it increasing? They've added more equipment, and also includes not just studies for if they change how they do their business, if they add equipment, if they change their business model, they have to submit a new plan, a new study, and also includes things like an annual compliance. So that way it's not just you're approved once, you're approved for life, that they have to have.
No, we
yeah.
don't allow that now, really.
No, but
Like
this
the
has to be
hospital, you just spoke
specific.
tonight, the hospital, they came
Yes.
back with plans for new change. So,
But most of this is for applications and plans, not that was in the ordinance as it existed, not ongoing. You require a yearly mitigation study. Like, you have to prove to us that you remain in compliance with your initial compliance requirements. And I think that's incredibly important. So that way they're not just like, we met them at first and we're built now, so we're just going to go. And then we're working off the back foot, trying to get them to conform to something they're saying, well, maybe we do, maybe we don't have to conform to once they're 3 years built or whatever it may be. So that's, I think, just the few things that were not mentioned. So do you have any questions for me before I sit down for now?
nope. Thank you for your comments. Any other buddy? Yes, ma'am?
Angela Goodwin. Tabor Road. All right. One of the things I did want to mention, I know I brought up before about the water drying up the wells and everything. We all know about that. I did read an article was several days ago, which a lot has happened between now and then, so I don't remember all the details, but I know in Wyoming, there was a data center that the recycled water, okay, from the data center was put out and was discharged into like a stream. Supposedly did not get into the drinking water, but it was discharged in the stream. It killed a lot of the livestock and everything that's in the stream and vegetation. Now, one of the things that you had mentioned before was like Telford gets their water from Telford, I guess, Water Authority, whatever, gets their water from the stream down there. So that would be.
Yeah, it's pumped from the Delaware.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm just like wanted to point that out, that that's another concern on top of everything else that we're talking about. The other thing is yes, the fires for them get very hot. We know that. The last thing we'd want is them to use spray foam, which would cause a whole nother issue,
Yeah,
which
we
we already know we've dealt with in this township.
Absolutely.
Lastly, the fire department might get new equipment to help put the fires out if there would be a fire there. The problem is where are they getting the volunteers? Because we are all volunteer fire departments around here.
Right.
And I could tell you my son-in-law is one of them. And they don't, where do you get the help from? And we know it. You just can't get the help for that kind of stuff anymore. And, the fire's getting so hot. Do you want your loved ones doing that anymore? That's the problem. So that's all.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
I do want to add something regarding the sludge water, as you called it. And I don't know if we have it in there up north where they frack for gas. They have to treat that water. They have to put that sludge through a treatment plant to treat it before it is released at all. That's something that we can do. Yes.
We have an industrial treatment program,
Okay.
and then go into the sewer plants, got to be pre-treated as industrial waste, which is what this would be.
Yep.
We also have the Clean Streams Law, which is a state law, which we can enforce, and the DEP can enforce very significant, hefty fines for violations of that. For example, the thing that happened in Wyoming, that would be very illegal in PA. And the DEP, I'm sure, would take enforcement action. They need to get some kind of an NPDES permit if they're going to discharge anything. And in order to do that, they would have to go through a process showing that what they would want to discharge would not be hazardous waste or industrial waste because of what they do on site as industrial pretreatment. So I think we're good on the discharge if there would ever be a discharge. But yes, to answer your question, Mr. Chairman, those protections are in place.
I have one question, and I don't know if this is appropriate time for it, but I'm going to ask it anyway to you, because there has been concerns over volunteers and stuff. Is it possible that an applicant, if a data center were to go in anywhere, that they would be responsible for trained fire personnel?
Personnel is a little bit trickier than equipment. I've definitely seen it before with making, if the existing fire safety equipment, it would be insufficient to handle what you want to build, you need to pay for those improvements for the fire department or whatever. But as far as personnel goes, I'm not too sure on that. And I would need to look into that issue because there's a whole different set of rules that would apply to the hiring of personnel, whether they're volunteers or employees and things like that. But that's certainly something I'll look into.
All right, thank you. Okay, is there anybody else from the public that would like? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Billy Hurley.
Hi.
Barton Road.
Yes.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about the closed loop system that they're proposing, because it seems like sometimes people are a little bit less worried about it being a closed loop system because it's not going to draw as much from our water supply. Closed loop comes with its own problems, and I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that and not quite as reassured as maybe they would normally be. The electricity consumption from closed loop is 10 to 40% higher than an open loop system. And because of that, the noise level is extremely high. So if you're across the street from this, it's going to be louder than it would be if it was an open loop system. In other words, 60 to 90 decibels constantly of a hum. It's not a steady hum though. It goes up and down. So your ear never quite gets used to it. And they found that in these systems specifically, it causes people with disabilities to have more difficulties. It's sort of a over response of their central nervous system, and they have sensory distress and anxiety. So, for example, children with autism or things of that nature, it exacerbates the conditions that they already have. There's severe environmental issues that come with a closed loop system. Also, if there is any kind of a release based on an accident, an emergency, something like that, glycols, nitrates, PFAS all get put into our wastewater system and into our storm drains. And the DEP can come back and perhaps remediate, but sometimes the damage is already done to our environment, our properties. A lot of us have livestock, horses, things of that nature. They're going to be affected. Their pastures are going to be affected. So the negative effects of it are great. The additives that they have in a closed loop system are different too than an open loop system to prevent scaling, corrosion, and algae growth. And they do have spills. It's been absolutely documented that there are spills and they have a tremendous negative impact on the local environment. So I just wanted to say that. And, you know, they still use up to 22,000 gallons of water a day. Where's that water coming from? It's not just closed. It continues to use water. So those are just the few things that I wanted to say.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move forward.
A board discussion. Is there additional board discussion?
Well, there has been discussion on the concerns that I had, and the biggest concerns that I have are the water, electricity. We were trying to make this that it had to be where the public water was available. Having a closed loop system does reduce the usage of water. However, this young lady made some great comments that I am not really aware of myself as far as more noise for a closed loop system. Then that I'm going to look into myself a little further, because we didn't discuss that in our meetings out at PSATs. And the supervisors that I talked to that went down to Virginia to view that one down there, they told me that they could barely hear it. Now they were away from it. It had a buffer zone, so they weren't right up next to it. And I don't recall whether that was a closed loop system or not. However, it's something to look into, definitely, to protect what we can do. And this board is committed to protect this township and the residents. Unfortunately, there are people that are in the business of making money and that come forth and put plans in place or in front of us that we have to look at. We can't exclude things, but we can try our best to regulate and to protect. I will say this township has probably the most volunteer people that come out to meetings and voice their opinion on issues. And you've witnessed that and seen that over the past several months. So I do appreciate that. Although sometimes we get beat up a little bit, we're not trying to let things just come through this township and be accumulated or acquired without trying to protect what we have here. And I think most people in this township do realize that. And for the ones that do, I appreciate your support. For the ones that don't, we will continue to try hard to convince you and try to make you aware that we are going to protect as much as we can. Those are the things that the fire equipment, the water, electricity, the public water, having public water. In my opinion, I would never approve a plan that water would be taken from a stream or a well or something like that and then replaced back into the ground. It just, I don't see anything good in it at all. So I live here just like all of you do too.
I was just going to say, I'll add on, I appreciate everybody's hard work that's taking this on, and I appreciate all the hours. It does take hours and days and time to actually do the homework, to do your due diligence. It's greatly appreciated. On our end, I've lived here my whole life. West Rock Hills, it's the bomb. We're cool. So yeah, we don't want to make that. I mean, that's why we have the chief protecting us and we have great park and rec and all that kind of good stuff. But we want to make sure everybody's safe first and foremost. We want to make sure we don't run out of water. We don't want to poison our air, nothing, our streams, our aquifers, none of that stuff do we want to poison. We want to make sure that we make it as difficult as possible for others that want to try and not make it as nice. Be nice. I was being nice to others, not our residents. We're cool. But I appreciate everybody that's doing their due diligence, and I believe long term we're going to be on the right side of this battle. It'll eventually get there, and I think we're going to kick your tails. That's just what it is. I think, we keep moving forward. We keep doing our homework. You guys work, we work, and we continue to keep moving it forward and keep on, keep our foot on the gas until we cross the finish line. We see you. My thoughts.
Any thoughts, Howard? Any comments?
Yeah, the one thing I'm reminded of is the old saying, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So having more people take a look at all the different angles of the different ideas and the different concerns has been very helpful, because you have what PSATS has said, you have what Penn Future has said, you have what all the other municipalities have said, you have what the neighbors have looked into, and you have what our solicitor has worked on and what we've all listened to through PSATs or through continuing legal education on the subject. So it's nice to see that we have a lot of people looking at all the different facets of this so that we don't miss anything.
All right. Thank you.
Could I just give one comment based
Sure.
on exactly on what he said? So one of the things that.
Now listen, I hate to do it, Scott, but you have to come up here just because those people that are watching this meeting, they have to be able to hear you.
So Elon Musk created Starlink and put satellites up to change the face of how things are communicated. When he did his IPO, he also suggested that he was going to put, I believe, 1 million data centers in space, in satellites. And that solves every problem. I don't know if it solves every problem, but if you're talking about the two main problems with database, or three, environment, noise, and power consumption, it all goes away in space. It's whatever, 0 degrees. So the heat goes away. The solar, or the power's from solar, he'll be able to beam the information directly down. So, we're moving so quickly towards these databases and just destroying environments in the process. And I live electronics. Everything changes every couple of years. And what you had in your hand today that's phenomenal is yesterday's news by next year. There's something new. And so I truly believe that there's going to be another solution to this. And all of all this damage to the environment, we're not going to be able to get it back. So I truly think we should have moratoriums on this. We should let it slow down to find the best path. And that's a great example because it solves a huge portion of these problems just like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in the near future.
Thank you. I do want to say that if any of you have not, you should let your representative and your senator know your feelings. The more, the merrier. And the more voices, the better chance we have to slow things down or to fix it. So if you don't know your representative, your senator, it's Craig Statz and Jared Coleman. So reach out if you can. All right.
Mr. Chairman, that's exactly right too, because I've seen some things on social media and in the news about how other townships in other states have been able to ban data centers outright. That's not the state of the law in Pennsylvania. I think you can do that in New Jersey. I don't know about New York, but in Pennsylvania, you can't do that. So unless state law has changed. So to echo what Mr. Kaiser said, engagement with your state lawmakers if you're interested in seeing a moratorium that would pass a challenge in court.
Okay. That being said,
Is there any more board discussion before we close the hearing?
I don't think so at this time.
I'm good.
We're
Thank you.
Thank you. It's 8:02 and we'll close the public hearing. So now what the options for the board tonight are as they were in April with the passage of the first ordinance for data centers. You can vote, make a motion to approve ordinance 257 as it is in front of you. That would be, if you adopted it tonight, it would become effective immediately. Another alternative would be to direct that changes be made to ordinance 257, in which case we would need to resend it to the Planning Commission of the township and the county to get new reviews of the amendments, schedule it for another public hearing, and I think that would have to be in September. Or the board could vote to deny passage of ordinance 257 tonight. So those are your options. You could also, if you do adopt a form of 257 tonight, you can also direct me to make changes or work on changes that we could introduce and bring back next month that incorporate some of the work or all of the work done by the citizens group, which again, I would agree that that was great work. I'd really like to see all the changes. It was very clear that a lot of thought and effort went into it, and I especially appreciate the format we're using. Track changes. It's very clear where things were added and the suggestions for amendments were made. So I appreciate that from the citizens group as well. So at this point, I would turn it over to the board for any motions that it feels are appropriate on ordinance 257.
I'd make a motion to move it forward and to add all the verbiage you had said after that, because
Motion to what he said.
what Dave
And
said.
that would be to make changes, come back next month to add.
Bring back version
Bring
3
back,
to introduce next
Correct.
month. There's some things relating to enforcement and financial security that I'll need to look at the MPC again, because the MPC sort of has a grip and preempts municipalities on those issues in addition to zoning. Some of those things about enforcement, we might need to tweak a little bit, and for financial security, but I would be glad to work on version 3, build off of ordinance 257, incorporate the citizens group suggestions to the extent that they're legal, and bring that back to you next month for introduction.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So we have a motion on the table.
And that's to enact version
What's
3, and we'll incorporate the next for 4.
It would be to
Two.
adopt
257.
252 tonight. 257 is version 2. And then we would bring you version 3 to introduce next month.
Okay.
I will second.
All right. Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. The next ordinance hearing, I think, will be a little bit more brief. This is ordinance 258. The Board of Supervisors, it's 8:05. The Board of Supervisors will open a hearing at this time on ordinance 258, which is a proposed ordinance for consideration tonight, which would amend the zoning ordinance by establishing additional regulations for residential accessory structures to prevent unlawful uses. And really, what these changes would do is really brings them in line with what we do for in-law suites and accessory family apartments right now. If somebody wants to build something like that on a residential property, they need to basically promise by a deed restriction that gets recorded in the county, and it can be seen by any future owner of the property, even when, property sold however many times. It's still very clear that the use of that building is only for the owner. It's only for residential use, not for profit, not for rent. Can't be used for commercial uses, industrial uses. But what ordinance 258 would do is specifically target some of the commercial zones and industrial zones where this has sort of been an issue in the past, where somebody will say that they are building a structure for residential use, but then we find out later they've converted it to a commercial use or an industrial use, which is not appropriate for the area. So this really would just tighten that up and bring it up in line and really impose the same requirements for a deed restriction that we have for in-law suites at this time. So this ordinance was introduced in May at our meeting. It was advertised in the Intelligencer July 1st and July 8th. It was sent to the Township Planning Commission and the County Planning Commission. And now we are here for the public hearing on that tonight. So at this time, we would turn it over for public comment, if there is any public comment on this ordinance.
Okay. Is there anybody that would like to make public comment on ordinance 258? If so, please step up to the microphone. Seeing none?
All right. Is there any board discussion?
I think you made it pretty clear. The explanation was very clear, and it is intended for what you just stated. I support it.
I think it sounds good.
And if need be, I'm prepared to move forward.
Mr. Termer, do you have any comment?
Nope. Well, because of planning, some of our industrial areas started off as residences. As you're going to build an industrial building, and then it should be built to industrial standards rather than, I'm just putting in a garage that's 60 by 90. No, I don't intend to start a business in there.
They now need to prove it with a deed restriction.
Exactly. Okay,
So if there's no other discussion, we'll close the hearing. It's 8:08 PM. And now we'll turn it over to the board for a motion and a vote.
A motion to approve ordinance number 258.
okay, motion's been made.
I will second.
Second, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you. Now moving on to the last ordinance hearing of the night, ordinance 259. It's now 8:08 PM. We'll open the hearing for ordinance 259. That's a proposed ordinance. It's not a zoning ordinance, so it follows a little bit of a different procedure. It would amend chapter 200, which deals with fire prevention and protection, to include a new article, Article 2, Roman numeral 2, it should say, safety plans for on-site energy generation and storage. That would include battery storage systems, on-site energy generation systems, and provide for requirements and regulations thereof. This does tie into Ordinance 257. We have a section in there for on-site energy generation and storage that refers to applicable provisions of Chapter 200, Article 2, which is what we're considering tonight. So now that 257 is adopted, 259 is up for consideration. And if both are adopted together, they will now, Ordinance 257 would refer to Ordinance 259 for the safety procedures for any kind of battery storage or on-site energy generation. So there were no such regulations specific to these facilities in the past, but now as we see them being used more often, especially in conjunction with data centers, the board thought it was appropriate to implement some safety plans. So that is what Ordinance 259 is. That was introduced at our June meeting. We got to introduce it in June and put it on tonight's agenda because it does not need planning commission review, which takes 30 days at least. So it was introduced in June. It was advertised in the Intelligencer July 1st and July 8th. And now we are here tonight for the public hearing. So I'll turn it over to the public. Is there any public comment or anybody who wishes to provide any information or other comment on ordinance?
Okay, I'll ask if there's any public comment on ordinance 259. If so, please step up to the microphone. Seeing none?
Right. Is there board discussion?
I
Nope.
like it how it's written.
Yeah.
I mean, it protects us.
This is to protect the township and the citizens. So I'm comfortable with the way it's written. Been advertised?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yep, we're all ready to
So
go.
we're ready to move on it?
Yes. So if there's no further board discussion, we'll close the public hearing. It's now 8:10 PM and I'll turn it back over to the motion.
I will make a motion to accept ordinance number 259 as
I will
written.
second.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the public hearings on ordinances tonight. My fourth and final item is a repeat from last month. It was at the request of the applicant, we'll call him E.R. Monti, at 4 Ridge Road, just up the street from here. There is ongoing litigation with them. They have put together a proposed settlement agreement for that litigation that was brought to the board last month, and it was tabled because the board would like to hear from some other parties to that lawsuit. But we understand that there hasn't been really any movement, and it's the same settlement agreement that was put before you last month, which was tabled. So really, I have nothing additional to add from what was there last month. It's still the same agreement that you've reviewed for a couple of months at this point. So I'll turn it over to the board for discussion, and then the board can turn it over to public comment if they wish.
All right.
But that's all I have to say about that. There's really not much else to say.
As you know, last month I asked if there was any contact with the neighbors, and there was none at that time. My recommendation would be to table this again,
Agreed.
and we'll discuss it again next month. So I'll put that in a motion.
Is there a public comment first that you'd like?
Yeah, okay. Any public comment on this situation we're talking about at 904 Ridge Road? Being none? There is none.
There is none. Okay. All right. It's ripe for motion.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion. We table 904 Ridge Road.
I will second.
A motion's been made in second. All those signify by saying aye.
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 I'm an aye. I was going to say for the record, I was going to say I would recuse myself for.
Oh, yeah,
vote.
okay,
So
yep.
For the record, I'm a named independent civil matter.
So you're gonna recuse
I'm
yourself?
going to recuse
Okay,
myself, yes.
there you go. So you have 2 ayes and 1 abstain. Motion carries.
All right. That is tabled, and that concludes the solicitor's report section of tonight's meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
I will entertain a motion to approve the solicitor report as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion's been made.
I will second.
Second, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right. I'm going to move forward to the manager's report, Mr. Lippincott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My first item is you have a township planner proposal for 2026. The planner is Thomas Committa Associates. He's a well-known planner out of Westchester. I'll go over some of his qualifications for the board. Tom has experience with municipal planning for many decades in Pennsylvania. He has assisted many municipalities, 149. A number of zoning ordinances has been prepared, is over 65. Number of subdivision land developments prepared is over 30. Comprehensive plans is over 50. Public hearings, which Tom Committa has testified as an expert witness, over 1,260 times. Number of hours of continuing education is over 1,000 hours after graduating from Harvard University. He has done traditional neighborhood developments, has done codes, form-based codes, 20. He's done master site plans and whatnot. He's been given expert witness testimony at conditional uses, special exceptions, validity challenges, curative amendments, planned residential developments, traditional neighborhood developments, ordinance amendments and adoption, rezoning applications, variance applications. He's also done subdivision as an expert witness, land development plan reviews, impact assessment and mitigation reviews as an expert witness. He's done eminent domain for municipal park expansion and school district expansions, and has done construction as an expert witness as incomplete construction, site development and drainage problems, slip and fall accidents, and personal injury. So with that, I would recommend hiring Thomas Committa as our planner.
Okay, so I just want to add a couple words. For those of you that don't understand or aren't quite sure why this is to help us and guide us through some difficult times on things we may not know about. And as you have witnessed, we have some issues in front of the township now. We believe that this gentleman will help us greatly. And I believe, in my opinion, it is well worth the cost to have a professional like this on our team. Any other comments regarding this matter?
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Yep, good. Have an expert.
All right. So we need a motion to move forward.
I'll make a motion to approve the planner.
Mr. Rice makes a motion to approve the planner.
I will second.
Mr. Shermer seconds. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you. The next item is just to inform the board that on Friday, we received a zoning hearing board application number 202602 from National Land Developers for a data center on 215 Cat Hill.
I'm not going to speak about it too much publicly because we just received this application on Friday, and I feel about the same as all you people do. Shocked. I won't say any more at this time, okay? Because we really haven't had a chance to really even evaluate it.
I'd just like to clarify, it's an application for a special exception that eventually go to the zoning hearing board. We don't yet have a land development application though.
Okay, thank you for that.
So it's a sketch plan.
Yeah, we got a one page site layout plan, which is more or less a sketch for the purposes of going to the special exception hearing.
You'll have an opportunity in public comment, okay? So that being said, there's no action to be required. You're just letting us know.
I'm just letting you know.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other business from the township manager?
That is all I have.
Okay. With that being said, I'll entertain a motion to approve the manager's report.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion's been made. Second.
I will second.
All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, next on here is old business. Any old business anybody want to talk about that we haven't already talked about tonight?
Not really.
Okay. Moving forward, new business. Any new business?
I'm good.
The only thing I can think of is, as far as the data center application, I'm reminded of Don Rumsfeld law that you have the known unknowns, the unknown knowns, known knowns, unknown unknowns. Thing that gets you are the unknown unknowns. Thank you for that.
All right. Moving forward. Public comment. Do you have public comment you want to speak? You got 2.5 minutes, Scott.
Back at it.
Hello again. So this is for the solicitor. So the way that I read Municipal Code 508 subsection 4 protects land developers and guarantees that once a land development plan is formally filed. So you said it wasn't a land development plan that was filed.
Scott, I want to remind you of something here. This is not question and answers. This is public comment.
Heck. Okay.
If you want something specifically answered, please send an email to the staff.
I sure will.
And you will get an answer.
Yes.
Okay?
Because that's,
I can confirm there is no land development application filed at this time.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other public comment? Yes, sir. In the back.
Hi, my name is Matthew Sexton, Bosque Court.
Hey, Matt.
I just wanted to make a comment based on what I've been seeing recently around the country. I want to say that the not elimination, but the reversion back to the old way of speaking with the 2.5 minutes of talking up on this podium. I understand that we talk a lot here for many good reasons. I just want to say that looks really bad, especially with the poor gentleman in Oklahoma who was just arrested for exercising his First Amendment rights at a meeting just like one of these. I just want to say that. That's all I'm saying.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Ashley Adams, Ridge Valley Road. I'll keep it under 2.5. I ask, I don't need a response, that at least as someone who's on this data center planning commission, that this is a lot of time. This is a lot of effort stacked on top of our full-time jobs, et cetera, that we're not being paid for. So with that in mind, I ask that when things happen, for instance, an application, a sketch plan, whatever may be, that be communicated to us so that way we can adjust our efforts accordingly, because we need to know if there are things that we maybe need to rush on, to focus on in the immediate, instead of maybe in the future, we need to reprioritize. So finding out yesterday that there was a sketch plan, well, I just found out now it's a sketch plan, that there was an application, kind of changes things from how we have to operate. And I'm going to again stress the need. I'm very happy to see that a township planner is coming on board. I think that helps tremendously. I'm going to echo for the 4th meeting in a row that I think we need to still talk about environmental engineers and other professionals, because I have a feeling we're going to be gearing up for something. And in our independent research, making phone calls, trying to explore some of these avenues, whether it be individuals willing to participate in litigation for, I don't know, let's say a data center or a battery storage facility, or professionals that would run environmental studies, things of the like. Let's just say that there are challenges and that it's better to start now. It was better to start in April. It was better to start in March. So the planner's step 1, we are by no means near where we need to be for what's on the horizon. So I'd like to leave it there and ask that as things progress or change or anything, that be incredibly transparent and communicated, and not through a social media something or a text message chain from residents along the way, that if we're going to do this, someone at the beginning thanked for our support from the board, et cetera, support it. Like, we need it. We need to know, because we don't know what we don't know, the onions, whatever you said. We just need to know. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, you're up. Right here.
Ross Wexler, Sterner's Road. Just quickly looked up the company that the application came from, and just briefly looking through, they have a page that's specifically just for data centers, for companies needing help to get these buildings built. And one of the things I read, which kind of tells us that we don't have much time, is their entitlement and zoning expertise, in which they say many municipalities lack the framework to fast track approvals. So apparently someone wants something fast tracked here. Their team works proactively with the local, state, and federal agencies to ensure expedited entitlements and compliance. So whatever company hired National Land Developers is, as far as I'm concerned, trying to get this pushed through as quick as possible. So I think time at this point is not on our side with what they're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, ma'am.
Billy Hurley, Barton Road.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that if anybody is interested in being part of the neighborhood coalition that we have formed, I'm going to stay after the meeting. And if you would just give me your information, I think the more of us, the better. We could use people with contacting media outlets and local government. I think it's really important. I also wonder if we might want to consider an environmental advisory council. That's something that other townships have done. And just as, maybe for next meeting or something for the agenda, it would be a good thing for us to have a solid core of people who are interested in the environmental aspect of it.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment into executive session.
So moved.
Motion is made, Hal, second by Mr. Rice. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I want to thank all of you for coming, all of you for putting your time in. And, comments. We will continue to work hard.
Yeah, like, let me get consolation.
That's
Greg would know that. Yeah. Greg knows that.
I want to explain.
What? Swansea High. There.